My name is Saloni Mishra and I'll be presenting a case which goes as Oliver is a 7-year-old boy who presents to a pediatric rapid refill clinic with a lopsided face. His mother noticed that he was drooling from the left side of his mouth for 2 days and his left eyelid has been drooping. When he smiles, his face becomes very asymmetric. He is otherwise well, but the drooling has made eating and drinking difficult and a little embarrassing. His left eye also feels dry. The rest of the family are well, but you notice that his mother is recovering from a cold sore. There is no history of travel or of any bites. He had an appendectomy last year and had pyloric stenosis operated on in infancy. So this is the case which I'll be discussing. First we will look at what are the findings we get on examination. So on examination, the child's mouth droops on the left side. His smile in particular is asymmetric. It is well delineated with normal facial creases on the right side of the face, but on the left side it is poorly formed and weak. He is also unable to shut his left eye. There are no other cranial nerve abnormalities and the neurological system is otherwise normal. Otoscopy is normal and his blood pressure is 107 by 67 mm of mercury and there are no other signs. So on the basis of examination and on the basis of symptoms, the solution of the case is Bell's palsy. In Bell's palsy, there is paralysis of facial nerve at stylomastoid foramen. This is the arrangement of facial nerve in the face which supplies the muscles of forehead, eye and mouth. So at stylomastoid foramen, there is lesion of facial nerve which causes paralysis and hence Bell's palsy. So whenever a patient comes, there are many other diagnoses which comes out on the basis of different symptoms. So the differential diagnoses in this case are otitis media, but since otoscopy is normal and there is no ear pain and no fever, this diagnosis gets ruled out. Next is Lyme disease, but there is no history of traveling, so exposure to areas where Lyme disease is endemic is not possible. Also there is no bites, so even this disease gets ruled out. Next is Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, but there is no vascular eruption in the ear canal and pharynx of the patient, so even this syndrome gets ruled out. Next is polyneuropathies like sarcoidosis and Guillain-Barré syndrome. But in these diseases, both the facial nerve of the face gets affected, whereas in our patient, only the left side of the face is affected. So even this disease gets ruled out. Next is cholecystoma and parotid tumor. These diseases have a gradual onset. Also in cholecystoma, there is pain in the ear, and in parotid tumor, there is pain in the region of parotid gland, which is not seen in case of our patient. So even this disease gets ruled out. Next is supranuclear lesion. This is a facial nerve disorder. What happens is the upper motor neuron of the facial nerve gets paralyzed, so the lower half of the face gets affected and is unable to do its function. Whereas in an infranuclear lesion, the lower motor gets paralyzed and both the parts of the face is affected, which is seen in case of Bell's palsy. So the supranuclear lesion gets ruled out. So on the basis of some very important symptoms, that is unilateral, upper and lower parts of the face being affected, asymmetry in face, drooling, difficulty in closing of eyes. Also, it is seen in some cases that viral infection can be the cause of Bell's palsy, and we noticed that the mother is recovering from cold sore. So it might have happened that the boy might be exposed to this viral infection which might have caused the Bell's palsy. So on the basis of the symptoms and by eliminating other disorder, the most probable diagnosis for this case is Bell's palsy. This is how it looks like. There is inability to close the eyelid, there is drooping of the mouth. Then there are certain tests which is done to confirm the Bell's palsy, which include testing certain muscles. First is frontalis. The patient is asked to look upwards without moving his head, and the doctor looks for the normal horizontal wrinkles on the forehead. These wrinkles are absent in case of Bell's palsy. Next is dilators of the mouth. The patient is asked to show his teeth while smiling. But in case of Bell's palsy, the patient is unable to do, and what happens is whenever the patient tries to show his teeth, the mouth shifts in the side which is normal and droops down on the other side. So in our patient, the mouth droops on the left side and moves upward on the right side. Next is orbicularis oculi. This muscle is required for the tight closure of the eyes, but the patients with Bell's palsy are unable to close their eye. Next is buccinator. The patient is asked to whistle by puffing the mouth and blowing forcibly. Again, the patient with Bell's palsy are unable to do so. There are certain other ways to rule out the diseases, which include blood test. This is used to rule out sarcoidosis and Lyme disease. Then there is electromyography, MRI and CT scan. These tests are done to confirm the paralysis of facial nerve, and hence this confirms Bell's palsy. So this is the various ways we can test out and eliminate other diagnoses and find out which is the most probable one, also by looking at the symptoms. Then the next, clinical management and treatment. In Bell's palsy, it is seen that the facial nerve gets inflamed. So anti-inflammatory drugs, which are corticosteroids, are given to the patient. Also, viral infection can be the cause, so antiviral drugs along with corticosteroids are also prescribed to the patient. So this is the treatment which is always given to the patients with Bell's palsy to reduce their inflammation and hence bring back the function of the facial nerve, and it will help in movement of the face muscles. There are certain other ways which can help in regaining the muscle activity, which includes physical therapy and facial exercise. The patient is asked to do light exercise such as moving his eyes, mouth, which will help in regaining the muscle. Also, massage is given to the face, which help in proper functioning of the muscle. It is also seen that in deficiency of vitamin B12 can cause degeneration of nerve. So intake of vitamin B12 is given as a supplementary to the patients of Bell's palsy. This will help in the proper regaining their muscle activity and will speed up their recovery also. So this is how we will treat and manage the Bell's palsy diagnosis, and that is how we have completed this case, and thank you so much.